living in the will of God. There are many Christians in today's world who are doing exactly that. They are fulfilling God's purpose for their lives. They have surrendered to the will of God and turned away from the ways of the world. This is, for most, a very difficult surrender. Most Christians in today's world want to remain in the ways of the world. They want to remain in the intellectual understanding of worldly ways, worldly understandings. They want to remain in the worldly activities while claiming a faith and a love and a trust for Christ. This does not by any stretch suggest that those people are not saved. This is not what we're talking about here. What we are talking about is being in the will of God. Surrendering your life to God. Returning free will. This is an act of surrender. This is not the actions of all Christians in today's world. Coming out of the world and surrendering your life to Christ, that you would live out His purpose, that you would live out His plan, is a much different act than to be living in the world as a Christian. Many people are called and few are chosen. And the problem is very, very clear. People fear living in the will of God because they fear giving up control. In John 3:16 it says that who should ever believeth in Jesus Christ. Believing in Jesus Christ requires stepping out in faith. The same as Peter did when he came out of the boat and walked on water, keeping Jesus as his focus as he walked towards him. It became abundantly clear to Peter that his fears were beneath him. This is what living in the will of God looks like. It looks like having faith, but the type of faith where your fears are beneath you. When your ministry is to expose truth at the result of mocking and insult, at the result of losing friendships and family members. When living in the God requires leaving your home or your country and stepping out in faith. When living in the will of God requires you dropping all of your desires and making God and His purpose for your life more important. Not everybody can do this, and most certainly not everybody does. But when you live in the will of God, the very act of doing so is the blessing. It is a blessing to live in the will of God. It is a blessing to be able to come out in faith and to live out God's purpose. Because there is nothing that glorifies God more than when a Christian, when a believer in Christ, when one of His children trust Him so much that they are willing to live out God's will for their life. That they would choose not the world, but to choose God.